Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. I'm Ruby.
I'm Glenn. Hi.
Hi, hey, it's the podcast time.
It's the podcast. How's it going?
It's going all right. I'm doing okay. I didn't fucking do anything this last week, really.
Really?
I mean, I did some shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I did some computer upgrades, and I fucked around with various games on my computer after doing that. And I played generously a 10th, but probably more like a 15th of a huge JRPG. But that's not anything I can talk about, really, you know?
Yeah.
I just don't have anything I have a concrete enough sense of to discuss, right? I didn't see a very representative chunk of anything other than a weird essay I read.
Okay. Yeah, I read something that's a little bit exciting.
All right. What's exciting to you? Tell me about it.
The first chapter of The Return of Chainsaw Man.
Okay, I did read that.
Okay.
I didn't remember if you had actually read were up on Chainsaw Man or not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. You learn about birds.
Yeah, you learn about birds.
You learn about swords.
Oh my god, the sword.
What did you think?
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I'm it was relieving to see Chainsaw Man come back from a long break, and still with the weight of having become one of the biggest things in manga over that break, and with the weight of having a highly anticipated anime, it's still it feels fundamentally the same thing, and is willing to be sort of dumb in a lot of the same ways.
Yeah, totally.
I hope it continues embracing that, right? Because fundamentally I come to Chainsaw Man for something that's visually inventive and has a great sense of paneling and pacing, and is just kind of it's just willing to indulge in some of the ways that it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it's just kind of dumb and rowdy, and there is lots of really gratuitous violence.
Yeah, which isn't to say it's fucking completely head empty, no themes or anything, right? There's stuff to dig into, but
yeah, of course.
I'm willing to admit that my personal engagement with it is for the most part, sometimes oh, this is a cool thing it's doing thematically, but mostly it's just hey, I fucking love when some ridiculous gore shit happens in this kind of silly comic.
Possessed by the devil of war, pulls a man's head off, and his spine becomes a big sword.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And she wields the sword by holding this man's still kind of alive head. Yeah, I mean that's basically it.
That guy had it coming.
Yeah. He was a shitty dude. It's fine.
It's fine. Shit. What else is there? Anything else?
It is the start of a new anime season, so I don't know that I have anything to say necessarily yet. But expect me to mention some of the new isekai shit that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
In the upcoming weeks. I want to give everything a couple episodes to
I mean, it seemed like there was one that you weren't going to give a couple of episodes to.
Oh, Christ, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. We don't really have to get into it, it's just there's a show coming out that I learned later it was one of the prototypical slavery isekai things that inspired most of the other ones.
Yeah, it's bad. Ooh.
And I believe you did not make it through the opening, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You're oh, I know what this is. I'm done.
Yep. I mean, I clicked on it because from the title I knew what it was, but I started watching it, I was just yep, that's what it is. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been really watching anything this season yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just take a fucking break from seasonal anime this time, and maybe I'll even actually watch some other anime. But maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I've just been sort of all over the place this last week.
Mm-hmm. We still gotta find something to watch together between us.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah, so I guess we don't really have a whole lot to talk about before the show starts. You want to get into the show?
I would love to get into the show.
Okay. Episode 75. Sasuke's Decision. Pushed to the Edge. Sasuke and Gaara go at it with Sasuke clearly on the back foot when Gaara clutches his head, having a bad time remembering his childhood when all the other kids hated and feared him. Gaara lashes out, laughing to himself and leveling trees with his big monster arm. Sasuke recalls their meeting in the mountains, where Gaara declared their match in the exam to be to the death. Steeling himself with the resolve to murder Itachi, Sasuke prepares another Chidori.
So yeah, this episode starts off with some action that like winds up feeling kind of weird to me in the broader scope of like this episode. It's like a little bit of like a back and forth between like Gaara and Sasuke that's like original to the anime, and it feels like obviously it kind of like progress things, but there's a way it feels kind of like it's like playing way too safe. Where like a lot of the time when Gaara and Sasuke are fighting this episode, Gaara's just like fucking up the forest and tearing down trees, and like for this part he's mostly just standing there.
Yeah, he's like standing there and like catching knives and throwing them back, but with fire on them, and then like
yeah, he's got like a weird move where he like heats up knives that he's trapped in his sand arm.
Yeah,
and then like once we get to stuff that is pulling from the manga, he's just like charging forward and like knocking down like 5 trees in one punch.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of weird to see him like it feels like he's holding back here in a way because of that, even though like there's not really any reason for him to be.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, from there, Sasuke is like not really able to achieve anything, and Gaara's like, okay, I remember when I was a sad baby. It turns out Gaara was a really sad baby. He was just trying to be nice. He's just trying to get a ball for some kids. He goes up on the roof and he's trying to pull it down with his sand. And they're like, oh shit, he's gonna fucking kill us. And they start running away.
Yeah, okay, and in their defense, when he does reach out to them, he does sand grab some child legs.
Yeah, like when they start running away, he does start like pulling them back towards him, and like I think the show actually does a pretty good job with this, where like it really like plays in the space of like, yeah, we know what Gaara does, so like there's some moments where it really like lingers in the space of like, oh shit, is Gaara just gonna like fucking crush this kid's leg? Is Gaara just gonna like turn a child into blood paste for the first time in his life or whatever? So like I guess it's not like fully unwarranted for them, but like it's a sad time for the kid.
Yeah.
He's just trying to be nice.
He just wants friends. God damn it.
He just wants friends. He just doesn't want to be alone. And like we cut back to the present from there, where we see that Gaara has decided that if he can't make somebody be his friend, he's just gonna like kill them. Because I guess that's better than them being away from you. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's normal.
Yep.
Anyway, Gaara in the present isn't really acting like a sad baby. He's acting like a sicko. He's just fucking laughing all the time. He's yelling at Sasuke, and Sasuke like has this flash. I was about to say we get like the last of the flashbacks, like when Sasuke was training in the mountains, but like we don't even. There's like another one next episode, I think.
Yeah.
But like we at least get the last of the ones where Gaara is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just kind of great because like Gaara walks up to Sasuke and he's like, I can see it in your eyes. You want to fucking kill people. You're the only other 12-year-old I've met who like is like as in love with the idea of murdering somebody as I am. So we must be the same person. And like Sasuke is like so fucking like entranced by this immediately. He's like, oh shit, this is scary. What do I do with this? And Kakashi's like, hey, be fucking normal.
Okay, what I really love about Kakashi here is that the way he talks to Gaara is just like. Gaara goes on this whole thing where he's talking about like fucking the like will to kill and like how like their eyes are the same and how in like a true battle it's not about like any tests or any of that fake bullshit. It's like your life pit against another's. And then Kakashi's just like, okay, so what you're trying to say is that you want your match in the tuning exams to be a death match, okay? And it's just like it really comes across like he's just trying to like help this autistic kid communicate.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, look, you could just say this shit without doing all this preamble. It's okay. You can just like get to the point. It's all right, Gaara.
Yeah. Yeah, not trying to like fucking diagnose Gaara or whatever, right? But like there is like an element of that I noticed of like helping the kid who like has trouble communicate from Kakashi that I thought was very sweet despite the like subject matter.
Yeah, I mean, like the subject matter makes it like kind of sweet, but also like it's just very funny for me. Like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna help this kid like say that he wants to kill my student more directly.
The dub kind of like changed Kakashi's like messaging here. Kakashi in the dub was more like. So you want to kill Sasuke? You fucking sicko! Get out of here!
Rude.
I know. He was just like, that's insane. It's just like, okay, Kakashi's not like that.
Kakashi knows. Kakashi knows that sometimes 12-year-olds want to kill people.
Yeah. I just thought that, like, helping Gaara say what he wanted to say was really, like, cute coming from Kakashi in that circumstance.
I think, like, in the scene is, like, we have more of Gaara being, like, very confident that he understands Sasuke. And, like, it seems basically entirely predicated on that, like, they're both some of the only children who are, like, the other has met that is, like, so willing to just be like, yeah, I'll do a murder. But, like, beyond that, like, you know, Sasuke is a person who, like, had it good at one point, and, like, even after his family died, he was still, like, very, like, esteemed in the village and, like, popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's isolating in its own ways, but it's, like, a very different experience from what Gaara went through.
Yeah.
But, like, to Gaara, that is, like that is, like, the full extent to which Gaara can, like, really, like, look into another person, like, try to understand them. It's like, oh, does this person want to kill? Can they understand me in that way? Like, that doesn't really amount to any deeper understanding of Sasuke, but it does amount to, like, a pretty good understanding of how to get under Sasuke's skin.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, we get back to the present, and Gaara is just fucking yelling the whole time. He's just like, hey, Sasuke, you fucking scared? You scared because I'm trying to kill you? If you're scared now, you're never gonna fucking kill the guy you want to kill. You gotta fucking come out here, idiot.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fight me.
Yeah, it's, like, correctly justified that the easiest way to get Sasuke to do something is to just sort of taunt him relentlessly, and it'll just work eventually.
Yeah,
you don't have to try it. You don't have to try that hard. You have to be that precise. You just need to, like, be like, hey, idiot,
yeah,
come fight me. You scared?
Yeah, and if you want it to work really well, you should make it about the guy he wants to kill.
So this, of course, does work on Sasuke, and Sasuke is, like, you know, for a moment he's thinking back to, like, Itachi. He's, like, kind of scared about, like, the memories he has of that moment, but then, like, he recenters on his resolve and he's, like, ready to go for it. I'm, like, really fascinated by the way that Sasuke frames this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, his understanding of why Itachi did it is, like, so extremely limited, and, like, basically just results into, like, yeah, he wanted me to kill him, right? He's like, the reason he left me alive was so that he wouldn't be so guilty about killing our family. So he wants me to kill him so he can stop being guilty about killing our family. And it's like, Sasuke, why do you think he killed your family in the first place? I don't really know what he thinks the actual full situation is there. He's just sort of, like, constructed it into this, like, extremely self-justifying thing that, like, doesn't actually answer any of the questions he might have, other than, like, yeah, I should want to kill this guy.
Yeah, and it's so fucking good.
It's really good.
It's really funny. Sasuke is so fucking stupid. I love that for him.
Yeah.
Everybody that thinks Sasuke is a cool guy at this point in the show is fucking dumb and wrong.
That's just a loser. That's beautiful.
Sasuke is just a loser, and it's so fucking funny.
Like, it really just feels like Sasuke has, like, constructed in his mind the idea that, like, Itachi for some reason decided to kill his family in, like, the most roundabout, like, suicide by little brother attempt in the world.
But he's an Avenger.
He's the Avenger. He was chosen.
He was chosen to be an Avenger. Oh my god. This dude is extremely 12.
He's so 12. I'm ready to move on to the next part of the episode if you're good for it.
Yeah, okay. In the barrier, the soul struggle between Hiruzen and Orochimaru is still ongoing. Gaara and Sasuke clash. The Chidori hits Gaara, and Gaara's pretty pumped about being hurt, actually. He grows a tail with all the excitement and throws himself at Sasuke, stronger and faster than ever. Gaara no-sells a fireball and punches Sasuke through some tree limbs. Sasuke knows the Chidori is his only option, but he's burned through his 2 safe uses for today. But he's not ready to give up on Itachi and readies another. Sasuke's curse mark spreads over him, and he strikes true enough to knock Gaara's monster arm loose. Sasuke collapses from pain, and Gaara grows another monster arm and jumps in for the kill, only to be stopped by a kick to the face. Naruto's here.
So something I want to talk about with this episode is that the storyboarder, Toshiya Niidome, is he's, like, very prolific on Naruto. He, like, boarded about a fifth of the episodes of the show in total.
Okay, that's quite a few.
That's quite a few, right? Like, of the first one anyway. I don't know how, like I haven't looked at the stats for, like, how much he, like, did of Shippuden yet. Like, maybe I should at some point. But, like, okay. You know, for this first one of Naruto, like, he starts being around really prominently, like, in, like, the Chunin exams, and then just kind of, like, sticks around until, like, the end of it, and is, like, definitely around the start of Shippuden at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like his work is, like, really variable, because I think in the quieter scenes, there's some really, like, nice ideas in his boards, but, like, the execution of them varies heavily on, like, the director and stuff. And I definitely think that like his action work is a little worse. Like in this episode, like when Gaara is having his like sad baby flashback, I think there's like some nice layouts that are like original to like original to the anime that are not like directly replicating stuff in the manga. That like do like a good job of like heightening and selling a sense of isolation that Gaara is feeling. But like when it comes to the action in this episode, it's like kind of rough. And I think the strongest example of that is when Sasuke is doing the Chidori on like Gaara's big sand arm.
Yeah.
He just kind of like appears in the middle of the arm and then like slides forward weightlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look particularly good.
No.
No.
I'm like, it's fine. It gets the idea across. This isn't a very flashily animated episode, and it doesn't really need to be.
Mm-hmm. But like, it is definitely an area where it feels like, oh, there just wasn't even really like a particularly strong idea of how to like communicate this motion, which is a bit of a bummer. But anyway, Gaara is like, he is hurt by this, but he's fine actually. Thinks it's really funny that like Sasuke thought this would be enough, and he also has decided that it's good to be hurt now. The first couple times didn't really like it. Third time he's all about it. He's just like rapidly accruing psycho traits onto himself to the point where it feels like the idea of Gaara is like maybe struggling to cohere under the weight of how many different like psycho indicators he has.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with him being the kid who likes to do murder. I'm fine with his like ideology of like I prove my existence by killing other people, but I feel like once you're just starting to put like so much other shit where he's like he's talking to his mom and he's like he likes pain actually, and it's just like okay let's chill out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean let's there's gonna have to be sickos later. You can't just dump it all in one guy.
Speaking of things that sort of struggle to cohere, there's some times in this episode where like Gaara's sort of like half monster guy form are pretty rough looking. Like these images I've just posted to Gwen where he has like a fucked up like super defined grown man face.
Why is he old now? This boy's 12.
He is 12 and he looks like a drawing of the Hulk from a 90s cartoon. His chin gets so fucking wide. It's mysterious. He has completely ceased to look like a Naruto character.
He looks like somebody's dad cosplaying Gaara.
Oh my god. But anyway, he's fine though. He's happy about this. He likes being hurt. He's yelling at Sasuke like, "Hey Sasuke, how many more times can you do the Chidori? I bet it's a lot because I actually like it when you hurt me with the Chidori." It turns out the answer might not be very many times.
Mm-mm.
We get another flashback to Sasuke training with Kakashi. He is like sitting in the mountains. He's like, "Hey, so Kakashi's like, so Sasuke, you can use the Chidori like twice at your current state." And Sasuke's like, "Well, what would happen if I used it a third time?" And Kakashi's like, "Well, you'd run out of chakra." And then Sasuke's like, "Well, what would happen if I did that?" And like, did they not teach you this at school? Is this not like a basic thing? Like I know Naruto didn't like know this exactly because he's not really the guy who like pays attention in class.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Sasuke should know what happens when you run out of chakra.
Yeah, but like they gotta fucking establish it for the fucking shonen audience.
I guess that's true, but it definitely feels a little silly that like Sasuke is just like asking this very basic thing. And anyway, the answer is like maybe you die. And also in Sasuke's case, like, oh yeah, the curse mark is probably going to act up.
Yeah. Which, hey.
Hey. Yeah. So Sasuke considers this information that he is remembering and decides he's going to fucking do it anyway. Because, of course he is. He's the Avenger.
He's the Avenger. He gets like what I perceived to be like a weaker bad Chidori.
It doesn't seem like the best Chidori, necessarily.
Yeah, it like flickers and shrinks before he like the curse mark kicks in and he makes contact, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it does enough, until he grows the other arm, which,
No, it's amazing how much Gaara it's like, oh, you knocked off my monster arm? Well, that's okay. I'll grow another one over here. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I do kind of like how, like, it didn't just blow the arm off. It was, like, still kind of attached, but weak enough to kind of, like, fall off under its own weight.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Gaara's like big sand arms,
Yeah?
a thing I totally forgot about with him is that he's like a stretchy guy.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's like pulling, he's like hooking his armor to branches and like pulling back and stretching it and like elastically springing back at like Sasuke like a weird sand Luffy.
Yeah, like, nobody told me Gaara was a werehog.
He's kind of a werehog, god damn it. Oh my god. That's a much better pull than Luffy. Who the fuck cares about Luffy? Everybody loves Sonic the Werehog.
Everybody loves Sonic the werehog. I mean, he is closer to a werehog than Luffy, to be fair.
He is definitely closer to a werehog than Luffy. You have me there.
Luffy's not so much of a sicko.
Absolutely not. So anyway, Sasuke doesn't achieve much and just sort of like collapses in the forest. Bad day for him.
I also want to say they definitely know at this point that the spirit possessing Gaara is a Tanuki.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got confirmation.
Now we know for sure.
Now we know for sure that motherfucker's a Tanuki.
Gaara's identity has been confirmed. He's a Tanuki.
Yeah, we did it. We fucking solved it.
Yeah. They titled the last episode wrong. This was the right one for it.
Yeah. I guess we could probably tell last episode too.
Yeah, probably.
I had the little ear. Ready to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to move on. I guess I just want to touch on, like, quickly. Yeah, Naruto shows up at the end, kicks Gaara in the face. Gaara going flying back and getting kicked in the face is, like, one of the better looking cuts of this episode, I think. Yep. Also, it's just cool when Naruto gets here, I like when the main shonen boy shows up, as long as it's, like, a main shonen boy I like. I like Naruto quite a lot, so it's like...
Yeah, I love Naruto.
I love Naruto. It's good that he's here.
Episode 76, Assassin of the Moonlit Night. Naruto stands between Gaara and Sasuke while Sakura makes sure Sasuke's alright. He isn't. Gaara slips past Naruto and goes to kill Sasuke, but Sakura steps out in front, making Gaara remember his uncle. He hesitates and pins Sakura to a tree with his big monster arm. Gaara recalls a time when Yashimaru, his uncle, was looking after him as a small child and asked him not to try to hurt himself, even if the sand would protect him. Gaara asks Yashimaru to explain what pain feels like, and realizes he feels pain too. Yashimaru tells him the only thing that can mend a hurt heart is love, but not to worry, since Gaara's mother already loved him so much.
Alright, so, like, Sasuke's fucked up. He's, like, lying face down on a tree branch. His curse mark is all over his body. He's, like, remembering when he was talking to Kakashi while they were training. He remembers a time where Kakashi tells him, it's like, hey, if you, like, give into the curse mark and activate it, you're just gonna stop getting stronger there, right? I don't know that this is true. This seems like a thing that probably isn't true to me. This seems like one of Kakashi's classic lies. Yeah,
that's one of Kakashi's classic lies and or a threat.
Yeah, maybe it's a threat. I don't know. It seems like a lot of Kakashi's curse mark handling strategy is to just like lie about some shit and be like, hey, don't worry, just stay strong. And we've seen how that's working so far.
Really rough.
Oh, okay. we've got some different interpretations. But anyway, Sakura has arrived and she's checking in on Sasuke, and she's like, God damn it. Kakashi said there wasn't anything to worry about with the curse mark. It's obviously not true. Another one of Kakashi's classic lies. There is not a lot with Sakura in these episodes because she's about to get pinned to a tree for the rest of them. But like, watching this scene, I definitely once more found myself kind of frustrated by, the fact that they don't really do anything with Sakura. Because I feel like even if they are going to like sort of slot Sakura into this role of like, oh, she's the girl so she cares and is like worried about people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there is a route to like leading her into conflict about that as she realizes that like Kakashi is not actually a person who is capable of keeping her and her teammates safe in the way that he wants to present himself as, right? Like I don't know if anything comes from like this moment of Sakura being like, motherfucker, Kakashi lied to me about the curse mark, right? Like,
yeah, no, it's just kind of,
it's just kind of like another moment of like, okay, Sakura's worried about shit.
Yeah. I mean, and like it's not even like that motherfucker he lied about the curse mark.
No, it's not.
It's we're like, what? But Kakashi said.
Yeah, no. Even going that motherfucker is like super wishful. She also like states that her plan is to be like, okay, I gotta find some way to like bring Sasuke. I have to find some way to bring Sasuke back to where Kakashi is, and like that doesn't seem like the play right now. I have to be honest.
No, like Kakashi's not gonna know what to do with him.
And also, that's like closer to where Orochimaru is right now, right? Like I guess Kakashi didn't really give a lot of instructions about like what to do once they caught up to Sasuke, and like if he was to be incapacitated. But I feel like the move is to just like maybe take him to somewhere where you can hide him more than anything else.
Yeah.
But anyway, again, that's basically the end of like Sakura doing anything in this fucking arc because Gaara just takes her in his big hand and like pushes her against a tree where she will remain.
Yeah, Gaara just nails her to a tree and like she stops being a character.
Uh-huh.
It's fine. But in the past,
and we see Gaara like attempting to hurt himself, and like, you know, the sand stops it, and Yashimaru walks in, and like we are introduced like more directly to Yashimaru. You know, like he appeared like briefly in like a few like flickers of Gaara's memory before, and like he was in the last episode like blocking like Gaara's attempt to like accidentally crush a child.
Yeah.
Like here we get like a more concrete addition to him as like yet another caretaker of a child in the world of Naruto who is not really particularly equipped to, you know, or like capable of handling this child to a more extreme degree than some others, as we will learn later in this episode. But like, you know, he like walks in, like sees Gaara doing this and like doesn't really have much recourse other than like, hey, you shouldn't do that because I'm supposed to look after you, and it makes me feel bad when I see that, which like not super helpful. Not like a particularly, you know.
Yeah, but like also like, you know, he's this lady's younger brother, and like she passed away, and like now he's looking after the kid, and it's just like,
no, it's like a mess of a situation, right? Like,
yeah.
In like in a better situation, he would probably not be the one tasked to look after this child.
Mm-hmm.
But like he's here and he's like sort of trying for a little bit.
Yeah, God, that was 6 years ago. I would have been 20 off doing ninja shit.
Mm-hmm.
We're first cousins, by the way, Yashimaru and I.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we're related.
I mean, are you like close enough that you would have even been like in consideration? For,
no.
Doesn't seem like it.
I mean, like I knew them, but they were kind of like the older cousins who were like kind of higher status, like fucking I don't know. I'm not.
It's a whole mess.
Yeah, I don't need to get into it. But like, you know, I looked up to those two a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I don't know. Just the whole thing's fucked up.
The whole thing's fucked up.
I feel weird about it now.
Yeah. So we get this scene where like Gaara is like sort of like realizing that like, you know, he's hurt Yashimaru, who is somebody he cares about, and he's like, hey, what's pain like? Because I've never felt that. And like we get you know, Yashimaru sort of like gets into this like kind of like almost endearingly awkward and like trite like attempt at like explaining like here's what like pain is like, you know, it's like when like he doesn't have a great answer at first, but he kind of like stumbles around to it's like, you know, it's when something's like hard to bear and you feel like you can't stay normal or whatever, and like I was like, oh shit, maybe I'm in pain too sometimes. And so like, you know, Yashimaru just like keeps going and is like does this like, you know, again like very awkward but like almost charming explanation of like, yeah, here's what love is, and there's like, you know, there's like extra dangerous wounds that are like emotional wounds, and there's a special kind of medicine called love, which is the whole thing like feels like kind of silly but also like kind of sad through the means of like, oh right, like this guy is like trying to explain this shit to a kid who has had no practical experience with what being loved is like.
Yeah.
And you know, so he's doing the moment, doing his best to reassure Gaara, and like he talks to Gaara about like how, you know, the sand spirit that's sealed within him is like, you know, for attacking, but like there's still the sand that defends him, and that must be because, you know, that's your mother's love. Like it persists in the sand and like keeps you safe. As like, you know, it's some sort of like attempt to give like a gesture to you know, like some sort of like gesture towards like giving Gaara something to cling to, right?
Yeah.
And like I got to the scene, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this being a thing, and like I think I was like, this is like kind of lame if it's like a true thing, right? Like I think this is like some pretty trite like Harry Potter ass shit.
Yeah, no,
if it's
like,
real.
I'm pretty sure he made that up on the spot.
Right, and I am putting a pin in that to talk about that later. But for now, that's what I have to say about this half of the episode.
Okay, let's move on then. Back at the village, the soul struggle is still going on, and Guy and Kakashi are counting their kills. A young Gaara goes to bring medicine to a kid he hurt earlier, but gets rejected. On the way home, a drunk guy bumps into him and gets killed. Gaara goes to sulk on the roof when he's confronted by the first assassin his dad ever sent after him. After dealing with the assassin, Gaara unmasks him, revealing it to be Yashimaru. In the present, Gaara demands to know who Sakura and Sasuke are to Naruto. Naruto says they're his friends, and then he's gonna kick Gaara's ass.
I totally neglected to mention the fact that, like, every one of our episodes this week,
Mm-hmm.
like, once we get to the halfway point, we, like, cut back to Hiruzen and Orochimaru, and we get, like, a minute-long scene where nothing happens.
It's so fucking funny!
It gets funnier every fucking time. Where it's like, oh, is it going to happen this time? And then it's just like, all right, here's the two of them, and they're, like, restating their points, and then, like, nothing changes. They're just in their fucking game of Soul Tug of War with no change to the status of it. And then we, like, go somewhere else.
They're just reminding us week to week that it's still happening.
Yeah. We also check in on Guy and Kakashi, which, like, is a scene that has sort of the awkward position of, like, being the only real bit of action in an episode that is, maybe not the best equipped to handle the action. So it's kind of stiff and awkward looking, but also it's, like, Guy and Kakashi being awesome bros. So it's, like...
Hell yeah.
Hard to feel too down about it, because, like, it's just great to see these two guys together. They're doing their fucking, like, Lord of the Rings movie, like, counting who got most kills in the fight thing.
Yeah.
And Guy is, like... I mean, it seems a little silly, like, Guy is, like, declaring his win when there are, like, clearly still more guys that they're fighting, but, like, maybe it's like, a multi-stage competition thing.
Yeah, maybe they reset the count whenever they check in.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, whenever we get to stand next to each other, then we tally them up.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, it's great. I love those dudes. They're here for like a little bit of a light reprieve from the sad Gaara zone. But anyway, it's time to go back to the sad Gaara zone. So Gaara is like, it's like later that same night. Gaara like got some medicine from Yashimaru to like give the kid he hurt to like try and make the peace there. It goes fucking bad. The kid just turns away the door. He's like, no, you're just gonna try to hurt me again. Fuck you. This scene like really establishes for me like a very key difference between like Gaara and Naruto, where like, you know, we see Naruto who is in a very similar position, like maybe not quite so extreme, like he's not like actively a danger to everybody around him, and he's not like, you know, there's like a slightly more restrained disdain that the people around Naruto treat him with, but like Naruto under that pressure like basically immediately starts acting out, right? Like he is just like a rowdy shithead kid who's like doing pranks and causing trouble, and Gaara is like, you get the sense that Gaara is very much like the kid who, in spite of that, knows that there is an ideal of being like normal and good that he is like trying to adhere to, and is just gonna like keep trying until it fucking breaks him. Yeah. And it's like a bummer.
It's rough.
It's like I like a lot of the stuff with Gaara. I do also feel like there's a kind of awkward thing in this episode where it winds up being kind of weird that like all of this is just one day. Like, you know, I think it still works, but there's like so much that happens with Gaara that's like, I don't know, like it feels like maybe giving like a little bit of a broader sense of like, you know, how his time here went, like giving the sense of like time passing between some of these scenes would do a little more for it. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah, no. I totally agree, because like it feels like such like a sequential like beat after beat after beat after beat of Gaara's like most traumatic day ever.
Right, yeah. Like we get both the establishment of like the things that he is like trying to believe and adhere to, and like the ways in which it falls apart, like in what seems to be like a matter of hours. Yeah, which is kind of awkward from a dramatic perspective. Even if I think it like ultimately like works, right? I can still like pick up what's being put down and like buy onto it and like Gaara a lot. But like it is weird that like the day that Gaara like learned about trying to be nice or whatever. Like I mean, he started about trying to be nice because he was like trying to play with his kids before. But like, you know, the day that Gaara like learned about what love is the same day that he killed a guy for the first time, and is the same day that somebody that he had an assassin sent after him for the first time.
Right.
And like the sense of like Gaara being the kid who's just trying to like be good and normal until he fucking can't anymore is like a thing that is very strong to me about his character, but is also like constrained by the fact that this is the span of like, I don't know, fucking 6 hours or something.
Yeah, totally.
You know, to that note of like, yeah, all of the shit with Gaara happens in like one day. You know, like he leaves that kid's house, he's walking down the street, and like encounters a drunk guy who like is about to pick a fight with a 6-year-old until he realizes what exact 6-year-old it is, and then is like, both like afraid and like resentful of Gaara, and like the exact way to push him over the edge, and he just fucking kills that guy right then and there. It doesn't really seem like he's thinking about it or like making a conscious decision to do that much. It's just like, yep, that happens. Gaara's dad like shows up and just fucking glares at him, like doesn't say anything.
He's just like so fucking disappointed in you. He's got the fucking he's got the fucking like, yeah, I'm waiting outside the house because you're out past curfew and I know it and you know it. Like, I'm not gonna say anything, but you know that I know, and you know that I'm disappointed. Except it's about murder.
Yeah, except he like showed up to like a crime scene where presumably Gaara was just kind of like waiting there, unsure what to do after he killed the guy for the first time.
Uh-huh.
And it just glares at him, and then like I guess leaves again to like go tell Gaara's uncle to assassinate him.
Yeah, which, so like, is Gaara's dad trying to traumatize him worse?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like maybe again, because it's been like the span of 6 hours, we don't really get a sense of like what Gaara's presence in the village is like. I don't know if this is like an escalation of things that's been happening, but like I don't know if there's been like a lot of discussions of like, okay, shit, we need to wrap this up quick.
If there was like an establishing of like Gaara leaves the room and then we see, I mean, this obviously wouldn't happen because it's Gaara's fucking flashback.
Mm-hmm.
But like if it was established that like Yashimaru's job was to like look after and take care of Gaara.
Mm-hmm.
But if he hits a point where like everyone thinks is like, okay, this kid is like too dangerous to keep around, like it is his responsibility to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I don't know. That feels like more of something than randomly deciding the most traumatic option.
Yeah, it's like it is definitely like, narratively it's the thing that happens because it's the most dramatic thing to happen, because this is like Yashimaru is like functionally the only adult in Gaara's life that has like made any effort to care about him.
Yeah.
But like if you think about it at a broad level, it's like, well, I guess I don't know why Gaara's had to make this decision. I guess just be like a huge shithead and like commit to hating his son a lot. Yeah.
Also, can we talk about the classic floating knives technique?
Yeah. God, there's like a bit where like Gaara is like sitting sadly on the roof, and like the knives like slowly float into frame, where it's like, okay, maybe this is like kind of like an interesting dramatic shot choice, but then they make like a speeding up noise as they like go towards Gaara, which like completely destroys the sense of like, oh, maybe of like that being like a weird slow motion shot of like something sad about to happen, and instead it's like a floating knives technique.
I mean, I don't hate floating knives technique, right? Like I can do floating knives technique.
Mm-hmm.
I do floating knives technique sometimes. But I just think it's a little bit silly against Gaara.
Yeah. God, I just remembered something, right? This is back in the first half of the episode.
Yeah.
Like, back when Yashimaru is explaining, like, pain to Gaara, he, like, cuts his finger to, like, demonstrate, like, here's physical wounds, and they heal quickly. And, like, at the end of the scene, there's a bit where, like, Gaara, like, puts Yashimaru's finger in his mouth for some reason.
Yeah.
And Yashimaru makes this, like, extremely concerned, pained reaction. Which I was making think like, this is the point where it's like, oh, this kid's too much of a fucking freak, he's gotta go. That's it. That's the fucking limit. That's the line.
Yeah, I don't want my finger in the 6-year-old's mouth. Can I go home?
Like, I get that he doesn't know how to be normal around like, all sorts of shit, but like, this is too much. This is across the line. But like, to that note, there's like a beat that the anime adds that I really like, where before Gaara like goes over and like sees who it is, like the thing that makes him suspicious is that he sees like the bandaged finger on the person that tried to assassinate him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit. Goes and like unmasks the assassin, and like obviously it's Yashimaru. We haven't been beating around the bush on that one. It's like the fucking worst thing that could happen to him, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Well,
there could be worse things. This could get worse still. Gaara could be having a worse day.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, do I get to the next episode?
Yeah, let's go on to the next episode.
Okay.
Episode 77, Light vs. Dark, The Two Faces of Gaara. Naruto rushes Gaara but gets slapped away. Gaara says Naruto won't understand true strength unless he fights for himself. But for some reason, the memories of people standing up for each other keep bothering him. He clutches his head and remembers Yashimaru again, bleeding on the ground. Gaara begs Yashimaru to tell him why he did this. Yashimaru tells him the Kazekage ordered it, and that the sand spirit Shukaku makes Gaara too dangerous for the village, and that deep down he probably hates Gaara for taking away his sister. Then he blows himself up with the paper bombs he had under his vest. Gaara couldn't help but survive the explosion. In a fit of agony, Gaara has the sand carve the kanji for love into his forehead. Naruto, desperate for options, summons a toad, and Gaara transforms further.
So I mean, like, starting off, like I talked about in our first episode this week about like Toshio Niidome, and like about how I think his like storyboards often have some like really good ideas, and that like a lot of the time the execution of his stuff varies pretty heavily based on like the director and like the animation team.
Yeah.
So like again, I think this episode is like a really good example of that, like paired with the first one. The director is Shuji Miyahara, who like throughout the show has been like generally paired with Akira Matsushima as an animation director, right? Like they've like showed up in the rotation on like the production like pretty regularly together. Akira Matsushima is like an animator who will like later go on to be the character designer for the Demon Slayer anime. So like, you know, eventually going to be a big name. I think that this episode does like a really good job of like drawing out all the best stuff from that board and like really elevating it. I think this is like pretty unquestionably our best episode this week.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, getting into the actual episode, you know, like last time Naruto said that like Sasuke and Sakura were his friends and that's why he was here. And like Gaara isn't fucking having that. Like you touched this on your summary, but I love how much he's just yelling like, no, you fucking idiot, that's fake, friends aren't real, it's just fucking killing, you better want to kill, you better want to fucking fight, that's all there is to it. Like, stop fucking talking to me about this fake shit. Just completely rejecting the premise of having friends that you care about. In like a very dramatic way that I think is fun. But, you know, he sort of like has to calm down a little bit and go back into the remembering zone. We cut back to like the rooftop where Gaara is continuing the worst fucking night of his life.
Yep.
So like, you know, Gaara like has identified this as Yashimaru. He's like, hey, wait, why are you doing this? You're like the only person who was ever nice to me. And then Yashimaru's like, yeah, I mean, I was ordered to by your dad. And so Gaara like tries to find the faintest solace in the fact that like, oh, maybe this guy just was following orders and he had to do it, right? Which is like a very grim and cold comfort in a lot of ways. But at this point, Yashimaru has just kind of committed to like fucking this kid up on the way out.
So,
and he's like, yeah, I mean, actually, I probably could have refused this one. I think I just wanted to kill you, actually. Sorry, man.
Yeah, also your mom probably didn't love you that much.
Yeah, it turns out like I was lying about your mom, actually. You know, I mean, we were talking and like, you know, she didn't name you like Gaara and say that you were going to be like a demon who fought only for yourself and loved only yourself because she loved you. She actually like fucking really resented the village and like, you know, really like that like made her give birth to you and she didn't want to, and like at the cost of her life, and you know wanted your existence to be like a terrible plague on them as like some last form of revenge of a dying woman, which I think is like kind of compelling, you know, like.
Yeah, definitely I respect Gaara's mom a lot more than I respect Gaara's fucking uncle, I'll tell you that much.
Right, like that like extreme overwhelming bitterness is like so much more compelling than like the vague idea of like this saintly like motherly love for a child that we get presented to us in like the previous episode.
Yeah, Gaara is invincible because of his mother's spite.
Like, not necessarily because of his mother's spite, it just, like, so happens to, like, be a thing that, like, pervades his existence, you know?
Right.
And, like, we get this really cool sequence of, like, you know, like, Gaara's sort of, like, imagination as he's, like, standing out in the desert and the moon is fucking huge in the background, and he's, like, you know, like, he's, like, looking at this image of, like, his mom holding him when he was a baby and just, like, watches, like, crumble away into sand and, like, blow away. And it's just, like, super cool looking, super striking.
Yeah, this part looks fucking awesome.
It's fucking amazing. I'm probably gonna put like a whole bunch of screenshots of it up on the Twitter. Yeah, I think it's a great scene. But yeah, this is a great, like a real highlight scene of the episode. And then like, you know, this culminates with like Yashimaru like blowing himself up as he dies, and like Gaara is like left standing in like the sand shield, which like at this point is this like super grim like. This was a thing he thought represented, like, the fact that his mother loved him, but actually it doesn't fucking mean shit. It's just still the Shukaku, and, like, he doesn't actually have anybody. And, like, the only person that cared about him just died trying to kill him. And it's fucking miserable. And, like, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm all in on Gaara, right? I love Gaara.
Yeah.
Like, Gaara, like, having this moment where like his fucking like anger and like self-loathing overpowers his like defensive instinct, and he like carves the word for love into his like forehead is like just some real primo like sad anime boy shit. I feel like
Yeah.
you watch this and you could just like feel a generation of teens' brains being like rewritten upon seeing this.
It's so fucking good.
It's so fucking cool. But so I watched the scene, I was like super on board with it. I loved it. And I was like, why did I think that the thing about Gaara's mom loving him was true? Like, did the wiki just run with that or something? Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to break continuity a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I looked into this and and what I learned is that 400 episodes later, we get a scene where it is revealed that Gaara's dad actually ordered Yashimaru to lie to Gaara about his mom not loving him, and actually his mom loved him a lot.
Okay.
Which is fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Right? Like, this scene as it stands is like fucking great, and like I'm just sort of like choosing to believe that like whatever the fuck that's about, like I'm sure we'll get into it more whenever we get there, was like not really the end game here, because it is just like flatly less compelling. And if you like look at this scene with that in mind, like the already kind of like why did Gaara's dad do the thing that would like fuck him up the most just like gets heightened to this completely fucking absurd level, and like nobody's motivations make any fucking sense anymore.
That's dumb.
It's fucking terrible. It's like a fucking awful retcon that I'm like now dreading, but like, and like we'll probably just like go back to ignoring, because like again, I think this position of Gaara being in this like really like genuinely like sad and isolated position is like so much more compelling for the character.
Yeah, then way
and, like,
more.
by the time of that retcon, he will have like gone through stuff and like come to terms with stuff on his own, and like probably won't even need that fucking like weird retcon affirmation.
Like Gaara just like genuinely being in this like position where like the only person he thought like cared about him is like actually kind of just like didn't, and like the thing that he was like ordered to do without being able to say no was pretend to care for Gaara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? When like Gaara was hoping it was like the other way around, and like that's just so much more compelling than his dad being a fucking like mustache twirler.
To be like a weird fucking like chess master of being a bad dad for no reason.
Yeah, right? Like,
why would Yashimaru even do that?
Yeah, right? Like,
it's fucking like, you know, I just like encountered that when I was like trying to figure this out. Like, I couldn't not talk about this episode because it was driving me fucking mad.
Yeah, right. Like, let's really fucking dig into this for a second, right? Because like on Yoshimaru's end, right?
Mm-hmm.
If like he really did care about Gaara and he was told to lie, like, what is his motivation?
Right, like, I guess that makes, like, Yashimaru also, like, a fucking weird, insane sicko who's, like, trying to traumatize a child, except, like, without the, like, complicated and sad motivations that, like, exist in this scene. Like, he's just a guy who decided to be evil to a 6-year-old because his fucking, like, brother-in-law told him to be. It deflates everything that works about this, and this is a scene that works super well, and I really like.
Yeah. I'm just gonna not believe that other thing when it happens.
Yeah, I'm like gonna get ready to like say that episode fucking sucks when we get there, right? But like, you know,
yeah.
For now, you know, I mean, like, maybe I'll be surprised, but I don't really believe I will be. Anyway,
back to the present.
Back to the present. Gaara's getting like more and more fucked up and more monstrous. He's covering himself in more like sand monster shapes and like progressing rapidly through a bunch of designs that like none of them look very good. So I guess it's fine that they're only on screen for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Gaara, like, decides that he's sick of, like, holding his arm up against the tree, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave my, like, detached sand hand pushing her to the tree, and, like, it's eventually gonna, like, crush her and kill her, which, like...
Why didn't you just squeeze? Why isn't Sakura just a blood paste now?
Well, you see, she needs to provide these stakes for the fight, she needs to be the fucking damsel for Naruto to rescue, you know? It's important for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into that in the next part, like the rest of the episode, because I think that like it's extra dumb with the context there.
Yeah.
Naruto tries to summon a frog, right?
Yep.
A toad. Summons like a shitty little one.
Yeah, who's just
But like, hey,
immediately...
it's a full toad at least. Summons Gamakichi. Is this guy right?
Yeah, I think so.
Gamakichi, rather than being like a big cool badass toad, just like a silly little guy. I do like that Naruto is like, even though this toad is fucking braiding him, he's like still like picking him up and like carrying him out of the way of attacks. He doesn't want this toad they summon to get hurt. He's like a nice kid. It's very sweet.
Well, because the way he looks and the way he's dressed, he looks related to Gamabunta. And
yeah,
you know what?
Like I believe this is true. I would fucking want Gamabunta knowing that I let his kid die or whatever, or like his nephew. I don't know how they're related, but like,
yeah, right. Like you want to play it safe here.
The last thing I want to touch on in this half of the episode is that like Tamari is still watching this and she's like, oh shit, Gaara's getting like so close to like perfect possession. He's gonna go fucking ape shit. Like even I might be in danger. And it's like, Tamari, you can just fucking leave.
You can fly the fuck away.
You do not have to be here right now.
You could go live somewhere else. You don't even have to be a sand ninja anymore.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, like, I've basically already defected to the sound, so, you know, you could work something out. You could find something to do.
Yeah, that's me on this half of the episode. Are we good to move into...
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Hiruzen is finally making ground in the soul struggle. And Naruto recognizes the loneliness in Gaara's eyes, and thinks about what could have happened if Naruto didn't have all the people in his life that care for him. Gaara taunts Naruto into attacking, so he rushes Gaara with a bunch of clones that get blown away with sandy wind from Gaara's monster mouths. Gaara pelts him with sand shuriken, but Naruto feels his strength return to him, and a renewed drive to win, no matter what. The second half of this episode, I mean, I say half, but like, I basically just...
It's like a third, right?
Yeah, like, I just split it where the commercial break is.
Mm-hmm.
And they went late with this one, so it's short.
It is definitely shorter. I do sort of have to challenge your assertion that anything happened in the scene with Hiruzen. I don't think he's actually making any ground. I think he's just like restating his points from three episodes ago.
No, he's definitely like, yeah, it's happening now.
He's told like I just think that when we get back there the next time, it's gonna be the same shit again.
No, absolutely. He's gonna be like, it's still happening a little bit. Right? Because now Orochimaru is just like, wait, the sword's not wiggling anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, Naruto is like looking at Gaara and he's like, he's thinking about all the people he has in his life, and this is the sort of thing that Naruto is going to do a lot. But I really like the scene of it. I really like Naruto like thinking about everybody that he knows and cares about him. I like that a lot of the individual scenes we get are like, they're not like necessarily like breaking new ground in those relationships, but like they're like cute new interactions. I love Kakashi just like coming in through Naruto's window and being like, "Hey, kid, eat your fucking vegetables."
He just fucking brings Naruto a basket of vegetables. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like through the window, just like doesn't even knock. Just like interrupts a meal to be like, eat some vegetables.
Yeah, like he knows what Naruto eats, so he's just like eats his meals. So he's just gonna show up and be like, "All right," which is great. I just like there's like a moment where Naruto like phrases the like fact that like he has all these people in his life as a thing that like convinced him that he was like allowed to exist, which is like very sweet to me. Like I like got a little misty eyed. I'm just like kind of a big sap for like this sort of thing, but like I think it's very sweet.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when I feel like I'm allowed to exist.
Me too.
Well, I guess Gaara does too, but he found a different road to that, huh? It's okay. Naruto's gonna teach him.
I like that we get the continued evolution of like Naruto's like, this guy's just like me, where like Naruto's like recognizing this, like understands like why him and Gaara like turned out like so different in a lot of ways, right? Because instead of having a bunch of people that cared for him, he had like one guy who tried to kill him, which is a pretty substantial difference, right?
Yeah.
And like it reframes the conflict between him and Gaara from being like anything about like who's gonna like live and die here to being a thing of like Naruto is like fighting to like prove the value of the fact like he has the people that he cares about. Like he wants that to like mean more than like how he wants that fact to mean more than like the strength that Gaara has from like just being like a fucking awful psycho his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like he is like more than dying, he is afraid of the idea that like having people in his life has like made him weaker somehow.
Yeah, he's worried about Gaara being right.
Which I think is like a really great place to put him in. I think it's like a very like it is a very smart continuation of his like growing understanding of his place in the world and his beliefs and like what he like stands for.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have like this really great scene of like establishing why Naruto is invested in this fight, it becomes fucking ridiculous that Sakura is like pinned to a tree and is like going to die if Naruto doesn't defeat Gaara, because that is like already 5 minutes later from when that was established, not what the fight is about anymore.
Right.
Like, he's just stopped caring. He, like, might as well have forgotten about Sakura.
Hey, you know what Sakura's role here would be a lot better served as being? Tending to Sasuke, who's just, like, knocked out on a tree somewhere, I guess?
Yeah, right. Like, that still wouldn't be anything. But, like, it wouldn't be nothing.
Right.
It would be literally nothing.
It would be literally tied to a tree.
Like, if being tied to a tree could also be being tied to the railroad tracks.
Right.
Like, it is both, like, immediately transparent, like, what it is trying to do with Sakura's character in a way that, like, completely divests from, like, having her do anything, and also, like, completely fails to make itself relevant to what the actual stakes of the fight are instantly.
Just right away.
It's unbelievable.
And, like, in a way that, like, actively neglects the well-being of the character who is, like, ostensibly the one being defended here.
Yeah! Like, this fight's already about defending somebody! God damn it!
Right? But no, Naruto just left him on a tree branch somewhere and he's fine.
They're like, oh, okay. She could have just not been here and it would be better for her. Like...
Yeah. Or like I said, like, you can have her, like, be taking Sasuke somewhere or something.
Yeah, right, like, she can, like, run off Pakun, and Pakun can be, like, trying to, like, remember what Kakashi has said about, like, how to, like, handle the curse mark, and it can be, like, a weird comedy scene or something. I don't know, fucking anything.
Right, and then the tension can be, like, Naruto trying to keep Gaara's attention, so that Gaara doesn't remember he's trying to kill Sasuke right now.
Yeah, because Gaara is really, like, in a very, like... I mean, I forgot to touch upon this earlier, but, like, when Naruto shows up to the scene, he's like, oh, yeah! I wanted to kill you back in the hospital room. Okay.
Okay, good.
So he's, like, very much into, like, okay, whenever I get reminded about somebody that I wanted to kill, that's my main focus.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a very real risk that he could just, like, remember that Sasuke exists and be like, wait, shit, I wanted to kill that guy so fucking bad.
Right. Oh my god. Here we are, just fixing Naruto again.
Again. It's a fucking difficult task. It's the cross we have to bear. But, like, you know.
Uh-huh.
I think we're strong enough.
Oh, I'm for sure strong enough. You are too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, again, like, just this is definitely, like, our best looking episode this week. This continues in, like, this last part, right? There's this really, like, great looking scene of, like, Naruto just a little, like, when Naruto's thinking about Gaara, he's, like, floating in the void, and, like, he sees Gaara in his reflection, he, like, leans forward, and, like, the mirror breaks, and then it's just Naruto there, and he's, like, bleeding, and it's just, like, a cool evocative shot. Like, it's pulling pretty directly from the manga, but, like, the individual drawings are all, like, super striking.
Yeah.
When Naruto's getting, like, kind of, like, batted around by Gaara as he's, like, trying to figure out, like, what he like is in this fight for. There's, like, a lot of, like, really nicely weighted animation of him, like, crashing against, like, tree branches and shit. That's just, like, you know, it looks really solid. It's a good looking episode.
Yeah, for sure.
I like this one a lot. Like, Sakura stuff aside.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's...
Right, like, I want to touch on the fact, like, genuinely, I think this was, like, our best episode this week. I think it's, like, a really good one that does some really great stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Did you have anything else with this one?
No, I think that's about that. What are we watching next week?
Next week, okay. Next week, we are watching episodes 78, 79, and 80. That's going to be a big fucking episode, right? That's the end of the Chunin exam. So we got, like, a new OP and ending. It's going to be a whole lot of shit.
Okay. Exciting.
It's exciting, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, if you like the show, you can support us on Patreon. That is patreon.com/Konoha Crush, all one word, Konoha Crush. You can get a myriad of things, including episodes up to a week early, a special bonus podcast, which we now have the results of the poll for our August 2022 episode of Narukai Uzumaki. We will be going through ReZero.
Woo! Yay! Sorry to all the people hoping we would watch Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon. You know, I think your interest in that show means that we'll probably put it back on the poll sooner than later, because clearly people want us to give our take on that one.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely got a lot of really big Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon fans out in the audience, and I want to see their desires for this show. So
yeah. And I also want to shout out our joining tier patrons, Maple and Izzy, the future Jinchuriki of the Six-Tailed Beast. Again, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to us. And hey, any images we talk about during the episode can be found on our Twitter, twitter.com/Konoha Crush. Konoha Crush, all one word, Konoha Crush. I've been streaming recently, still on that art fight grind. Check me out at twitch.tv/Reziart, REZIART. Come hang out, it's a good time. Ruby's there a lot of the time. And we talk about Naruto sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes like a secret bonus episode of this very podcast.
with live feedback from the audience. So definitely stop by if you want. I stream Wednesday through Friday at 10 p.m. Central. So I don't know. I know it's kind of late, but I'm a vampire. That's how it works. And hey, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
And remember, there's no such thing as filler.